Are you tired spending hours analyzing large data sets in Excel? Well, get ready to revolutionize your workflow using pivot table. Pivot tables are a powerful tool in Excel used to gather and analyze large data sets with ease. They help you make meaningful insights and make informed decisions based on your data. Whether you're a business professional, a student, or an Excel enthusiast, Excel can save you time and effort transforming your raw data to meaningful insights. They are essential for anyone wanting to make sense of their data. In this tutorial, I will guide you through the process of creating, summarizing, and analyzing large data sets using pivot table. By the end of this video, you will have the skills to confidentially tackle any data set using pivot table. So if you are ready to take your skills to the next level, stay with me as we unleash the power of pivot table. Let's dive right in.
Hello, welcome once again to yet another edition of our Excel Mastery series with me, Adikali Bangura, as we embark on pivot table today. As we got it all from the introduction, we believe pivot table is a powerful tool that helps us to gain insights and make informed judgments. So how are we going about this pivot table? But first, before working with pivot table, you need to understand that your data must meet certain criteria, and one of the criteria is that it must contain no empty column or row within the data. It must contain no empty cell. Your data must has a data header, and also you must have a blank column here and also another blank row here. In a short moment of time, we will see why this is necessary. So in order for you to start working with pivot table, the first thing you need to do, you need to select inside your data and then come over to insert, and then on that table here we see we have recommended pivot table and pivot table. Now what recommended pivot table does is that it looks into your data and comes up with an analysis for you based on the data provided. But however, we have some questions to answer, so we need to go with the pivot table. So we create our own for ourselves. So select pivot table here, and we see this dialog box open, and this is divided into three portions. We have the select a table orange, which has automatically be done for us by Excel here, as we can see, and this is the reason why we say we need an empty space from column and also on the row section. And next, say choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. You have two options. One is if you want your pivot table to maintain within the same sheet, you can leave it in existing sheet, and you need to choose the location. If you want to start here, you can select wherever you want your pivot table to start. But however, we need a new worksheet, so we select it. And the last section here is to choose whether you want to analyze multiple tables in the case of creating a data model, but we are not creating any data model, so we leave that as it is. And all we need to do now is to click OK, and we select it. So as you can see, we have our pivot table one here. Here we need to build our report, and also we have our pivot table fields here. But what you will notice is that you will have this manner up here. We have two new buttons that has been generated for us. We have the pivot table analyze and also our design. So these are the two that has come up for our pivot table. So let's talk about our first session, which is the pivot table analyze, what it does. On the ribbon section of the pivot table analyze, we have our pivot table here. Within here we can change the pivot table name as we want. And also we have our active field. We can drill down or drill up or do basic active editing on our active fields. And also on our group here, we can group and also ungroup. And we also have our filter here. We can insert slicer, and also we can insert timeline, in which we can see in a few minutes time. And next we have our data, in which one important thing you need to understand about pivot table is that it is not automatically refreshed. So if you update your table, you need to come over to this data and refresh your pivot table. And also you can change your source. Maybe you do a copy for different months, you can change your source with one, and as soon as you change your source and refresh and hit refresh, your report will automatically update. And then we have our action here. We clean, select, or move pivot table whatever we want. And also we have our fields, items, and sets. From here we can create and we can create formula within the pivot table. You cannot just do it on your table, you can do it within the pivot table, in which we have these calculated fields, we have solve order and list formulas. We have other important tools here, and also we can also insert pivot charts or recommended pivot table, as we can see. Then if we come over to our analysis, our design session, we see our layout. We have our subtotal, if we want to show our subtotal or not. And also we have our grand total, we have our report layout, whatever we want. And also we have our blank row. What do we need to do? Insert blank line after each item or remove or whatsoever. And here we can work with our pivot style option, in which we work with our header, column header, as the case may be. And also we have different style if we want them from this portion. So let's see how we can go about this as we continue. So now we want to analyze. Let's understand our pivot table fields here. As we can see, we have this section, we have our search section, maybe our header. We have a lot of headers, so if we are unable to see them, we can search here. And also we have them here, we can make a selection here, and we say here drag fields between area below. We have these 4 areas. We have our filter, we have our column, and we have our row and value. They are very, very, very essential when forming your analysis. So what you do is that in order for you to form your analysis, all you need to do, you have to select here this box. As soon as you select, it will automatically find its rightful position. And another way, if you want to get rid of them, you can select inside here and take off the item. Or another option again is that we can just hold it and place it where we want. If you want to put it in the row, you put it in the row here. And also if you want to delete them, just take it out, it will go off. Or you can drag it here to values or column here. Again, you can see you have everything. Then if you take your revenue, put it here, you can see there are some of revenue however you want it. But however, I have organized this class so that we can answer certain questions. We cannot just come and analyze like that. No, we first need to understand what we need to do. And as an analyst, the best thing you need to do whenever you face up with analysis project, you need to ask question. You cannot just come think out of the box and solve. No. Management has problems that they want you to solve. So your first step is to ask question, as that will help you to come up with a nice analysis. Okay, so now let's see, in our situation here, we have our question. Our questions here is first question is, what are the top performing agents? So we need to see what are the top performing agents. And next, we also need to see how do sales vary by location, and third, how do sales vary over time. And also our fourth question is, what is the average price per unit by agents and location? And lastly, what months are we making the highest sales? So these are the questions we are coming to answer as we continue with our project. So let's see how we answer it. So our first question here is, who are the top performing agents? Who are the top performing agents? So we can answer them by doing this. So our first question is, who are the top performing agents? So in order to get our top performing agents, we need to get our agents here, and also we can get them in two situations. One is by quantity sold, and second is by the revenue. So we do both and see how we can analyze this. So for our revenue here, we come with it here. Then all we need to do, we need to sort this our question. Come here, right click, come over to sort, and we need largest to smallest. So from the data provided based on our revenue, our top performing agent is Yusuf, followed by Stoner. So we have answered a question with just few minutes of time. Imagine from this whole data we have now answered our question. So let's change this to pivot table. So with just this, so now let's answer again. We need to see our quantity. So if we select here, move our quantity here, and we can see again Yusuf had the highest, sold the highest amount of quantity. So our best performing agent here is Yusuf. So our next question goes is, how do sales vary by location? How do sales vary by location? So we need to see our revenue based on our location. So all we need to do, we can copy this man and paste it here, and then we can remove this man. We only need sales, our location, we put it on the row, and our revenue. We do the same thing again. We can analyze by summarizing, by sorting largest to smallest. So as we can see, we have grouped by location and based on their revenue. So we see this is how sales is being varies based on the location. We are making more sales in Moyamba as compared to all other towns. So we just click of 2 or 3 buttons, we have got this analysis. So we continue again with our next question, which says, how do sales vary over time? How do sales vary over time? Let's see how we can answer this. How do sales vary over time? All we need to do again, we can select this, we come over here, we paste it, Control A, Control C, and we come over here and paste it. Now we are asked, how do sales vary over time? One thing we can analyze this in several ways. One, we can analyze it based on month. Secondly, we can analyze it based on quarter, and third, by day or even by the date. You understand? So all we need to do, let's analyze it based on month. So we take this row and we now come with our date. Imagine under our date we have our month, so we can select it. So this is how sales vary over time. So again, we can work it with this, or we can still take off our filter and we can filter it oldest to newest, so we can see how this will play on a graph. So we have answered 4 questions. Let's see the last question here. says what is the average price per unit by agent and location. So we want to see the average price per unit, per agent and location. So we need our agents and we need our location, so we can see them here, and we want to see the average price per quantity by this our agent based on the location they found themselves. So in order for us to get the average price per quantity, is our revenue divided by our quantity sold, and that will give us our average price. And at the end of the day, we need to calculate this formula. All we need to do, we need to come over to pivot table analyze, come over to field, and this is how we calculate. We come to calculated fields. Our field name here is average price per quantity. So how do we get this? Is our revenue here divided by our quantity, then we can add and click OK. So this is it. This is the average price per quantity based on their location. So as you can see, Bonds is 250, Freetown 250, Canberra 230, as the case may be. These are the average prices based on the agents and their location. If you see for Amadou here, the average price for Amadou is 152.8378, whilst for the locations, these are the prices for the locations. In average, this is what it goes. So I believe this is very, very helpful. So now let's see our last question. Says what months are we making the highest sales? This is very simple. So if they ask what months are we making the highest sales, we already have this analysis here. We can see by analyzing, come here, we can sort largest to smallest. So I believe we made the largest sales in December. Why we made the largest sales in December? It might be because of it's a festive season, and that's the reason why we made the largest sales in December. So thank you guys. This is how we use our pivot table, and in our next session we'll be explaining how to use a pivot chart. Thank you all for your precious time with us here today as we unleash the power of pivot table and see how effective and how it can bring us insights. Join me for our next tutorial as we unleash the power of Excel.